Hi, good afternoon everyone. Welcome to another live free lesson. We have been looking at doing observational drawing now for a couple of weeks. So we've built up skills using graphite pencil and charcoal. We've discussed how you could go about your composition to make your artwork more interesting and more successful. And today I'm going to talk about something that you might be finding a bit tricky in drawing. So I know it's certainly something that a lot of art students struggle with when they're drawing their universal forms in their observational drawing. So I just want to point out, let's have a look at, I'll just show you my one here. So when you are drawing your different universal forms, what is really tricky is you might be finding that shapes are looking a bit odd on your page, especially if you look at my squared lantern back here. Sometimes the angles look a bit out. So I want to talk today about how you go about drawing these in, because obviously it's about observation and what you see, but there's also something in play here called perspective. So I want to show you some techniques to get your perspective right in your drawings, okay? So still life, but also if you're going to do landscapes or, you know, cityscapes, anything like that, we need to understand perspective. So I'll show you, I've got a block here, so I can show you what I mean by perspective. So if you look straight on at an object, you see there's a perfect rectangle there. You're looking straight on it. Your eye line is right in the middle here. So you can just see the flat edge of a rectangle. Now if I move your eye line lower, you're going to see the top of that shape too. So you'll see the top and the rectangle is still a perfect rectangle. It's just lower. And the same if we go higher, you'll see the underside. Okay. Now if we move it to the side, so it's still a perfect rectangle. If I keep going, you'll see now there's two sides. And you can also now start to see a bit better than when it's higher or lower, perspective in place. So you can see it's getting smaller. So if I bring it even closer to you, so this is a perfect rectangle here. But as you can see, this side is getting smaller as it's getting further away from you. And knowing how to draw that is key to making sure those angles are correct on your drawings, okay? So when you look at an object, if you've laid out your object, say a book or something like that, and you've got a perfect rectangle here, this perspective here is 1 point perspective. And I want to show you how you go about drawing that. So let me grab my paper and I'll show you how you do a 1 point perspective drawing, okay? So if you think about your eye line first, so we're going to draw a horizon line just across the page, okay? So we're going to call that the horizon line. Imagine looking out to sea and you see the horizon in the distance, okay? Now your objects, we'll just put a point. So I'll put it in the middle, but you can put your vanishing point anywhere. So as things get further and further away to that horizon, they're going to eventually become a point, a dot on the horizon. So you can put your dot anywhere. I'm just going to put it there so I can draw in different places around it. I've probably gone a bit too high. Anyway, so now I'm going to draw that rectangle that we saw on the block, okay? So I'm going to draw it off to the side slightly. So I'm just going to draw a rectangle. Okay, so right angular, okay, so you've got right angles, it's a rectangle straight on. Now, we're going to just draw in some sketch lines because all of the corners of your shape are now going to vanish, okay? They're going to go off into the distance because they're going to get further away from you. So we're going to join them up to the vanishing point. Now, you can use a ruler for this, okay? So we're just going to join up each of the corners to our vanishing point. I haven't given us much to see on the side here, but there you go. So it's vanishing off into the distance. Now to actually draw in the rest of our shape, the back of this block, okay, is going to be exactly the same, the angle will be exactly the same as the front of this rectangle. So this horizontal line here needs to appear somewhere between these two white lines, okay? So I'm just going to draw it here. So you want to make that perfectly parallel with this line here, okay? So these are parallel to each other, okay? sorry, I'm at a slight angle, so I think mine's a bit out. But there, so it's a horizontal line like this one. And the same down the side, because this is a perfectly vertical line. So the back of the block will also be a perfectly horizontal line. So where your white lines are, you are going to draw between them a vertical line, and then you can join them up. And then you have a block in perspective. Let's try another one. So I'm going to draw another one. Let me just go straight on so I get it a bit more straighter. Okay, rectangle. Let's draw each of our corners to the vanishing point. Okay. Now anywhere on this line, we're not obviously observing, so I'm making it as deep as we want, so just guess. So about there, okay? So where that top edge of the other side of your block is, you're going to need a vertical line going down, and it will finish at the next white line. So again, perfectly straight. So you've got the corner of the back edge, and now you can draw over the white lines to get the rest of your block. And there you go, a block in perspective. Now you can play around with this. So you can draw in another rectangle in here just to play. I might draw in another one here and split it up into two, into two blocks. So there you go, so we've got that there. You can do this with any shape. Obviously it's straight on because your view is of the flat edge. So we'll do one up here. So imagine this time we want a cylinder. So let's draw a circle, okay? So again, exactly the same. A cylinder, if it's on its side like this, the top and lower edge will vanish. You then want the back of your shape, the curve of your cylinder, to be exactly the same as this one. So you want to try and get those matching, and then again you can join them up, and then you have a cylinder in perspective. Okay, so this is 1 point perspective. You can do any flat shape, you can do letters, bubble writing, anything, and have it vanish to one vanishing point, and then you can fill it in. So I would play around with that. You can even do rooms and things like that. You can see loads of examples online. But if you have set up a composition where you have got the side of your shape straight on and you can only see it angling from one edge, 1 point perspective, give yourself a vanishing point, and then you can make all your lines go off to it. You'll see it in works of art, people like Magritte, Dali, they all use 1 or 2 point perspective. You'll see it in their artworks, and the lines are perfectly going off into a vanishing point. So it's worth putting the time into working out these angles, because that might be an issue with your observational drawing. Now there's another way you can do perspective too, because like me, I didn't do my square lantern straight on like this. I drew it like that, so I had this edge, and as you can see, if I bring that a bit closer, you've now got two sides that are going off to a vanishing point. You've got this getting smaller as it gets further away from you, and you've got this side here getting smaller as it goes away from you too. So that is 2 point perspective. Okay, and you need to draw this in 2 point perspective. So again, if it's lower than your eye line, you're going to see the top. If it's higher, you'll see the bottom. So as well, you can see that this is also going smaller. So that would be 3 point perspective, but we'll stick with 2 for now to get these two edges the same. And that's what I applied to my drawing to get my square lantern, the angles at the base right. So let me show you. I'm going to stick that there. Right, 2 point. So you're going to need a horizon line, okay? Always starts with the horizon line. So let me just draw, I'll come a bit lower this time. Okay, so there's my horizon line. I did a very quick sketch of this in one of the very first lessons on universal forms, and I was showing you the cube. But let's do this a different way. So now we want the edge, okay? We want the edge of the shape. So we're just going to draw a vertical line. Now that's the height of your block, your lantern, whatever it is you are drawing. So I've got a line here. Now I need 2 vanishing points on my horizon line, okay? So anywhere just to practice, I'm going to put one there. You could do it equal, or maybe one vanishing point is further away. So I've got 2 vanishing points. Now, the top of your line, that needs to vanish because these are the sides. So the top and bottom of your line are going to go to that vanishing point, and this side is going to go off to there. Okay, so you can see the 2 sides that are vanishing. Now we need to finish off where the block ends. So it needs to be a perfectly vertical line to match this line here, because the block is perfectly straight on the side. There. Okay, so these are the 2 sides. Now for the top. Now the top also needs to go to the vanishing point. So this is where it can get tricky, but you just have that one going off to the vanishing point over there, and you have the top of this line going off to the vanishing point over there, and you can see the block that it's created in the middle. So we can draw over those lines, and there is your block in 2-point perspective. Okay, so imagine you're looking more from below your object. Now we can do one from above too. So remember, top of the line to this vanishing point and the bottom of the line. Same on the other side. Let's get the 2 sides of our shape drawn in first. Now you can pick anywhere you want the edge of your block to be, but it's just got to be perfectly vertical to match this one, otherwise it will look odd. Okay? Now, the bottom of this vertical line is going to vanish off into this point, and the corner of this line is going to vanish off into that corner down there. And then where they cross will be your box. You can just about see that. I'm not using a ruler, that's a bit of a funny angle. So let's see if can I see that. They're going down to about there. There we go. So there's your box from below in 2-point perspective. So I suggest you have a go at these. You can do any shapes. The 2-point perspective obviously is going to work better when it's a square. But say you have a rounded object, you can then use these boxes. If you do them with really light pencil, you can then turn a box in perspective into a cylinder. Okay, so you can, if you have a cylinder or a rounded object that you wanted to have in 2-point perspective, I would draw a box first and then I would turn it into a cylinder afterwards. So you can do cylinders in 2-point perspective too, but it's the boxes and the cubes that are going to look best with this technique, and that's what I applied to mine to get the perspective just right. But I could have done it with my smaller candle holder as well, because I had that ellipse, and then it would have matched the exact angle to my box, and that's where I have some flaws in mine, because the perspective isn't quite right, because I didn't plan it out in this way. But just see how you go, see if that does improve some of your drawing. If you feel the angles or something is not quite right, then it is all about perspective. You do have to keep in mind that as things are going further away from you on the table, they are in perspective. So to have these techniques to hand is just useful so you can get those angles right. But that's it for today. I just wanted to show you perspective. Good luck with your still life. So we're working with charcoal. The next task will be going on to using graphite, which we've already done on universal forms, but we've not yet done a still life drawing. So more coming next week for me to give you some tips on how you can go about your graphite still life. Feel free to post to Facebook to get some feedback. I'll look forward to seeing what you've been up to. And then that will be the end of our tonal and observation drawing work, and we will move on to a new topic in our Learn to Draw and Paint for Free course. So I'll see you then. Have a lovely Easter. Bye everyone.